Welcome back to another episode of the Moving Forward with Hope podcast. I'm Lynn, your host. Today we've got another doozy of an episode for you. It's entitled, are you ready for this? I hope you're sitting down. The Great Divorce is coming. Women have had enough and want to be free. 8 things we're going to talk about today. I'm sure I'm going to get some backlash for this episode. But pull up a chair, have a seat. Let's dive in. Women, is it our time now? How long have we been held back? Things are changing, and it's time we address the elephant in the room. Put your seatbelt on, like I said, because there is a windfall coming, and it has long been overdue. The women are now speaking up. The first thing we would like to say is that we don't want to be controlled anymore. Birthed within many women has always been the desire to create, to live, to breathe, and not be controlled. However, from a young age, the conditioning began. Social conditioning. We were taught or brainwashed into believing certain ideologies. Things like, we must be small, we must be subservient, that we must take care of and support others, that we must not take care of ourselves first, that we must need to look beautiful and young, we must smile always, be discreet, never be loud or boisterous, never speak or share our mind. The list goes on. And if you grew up in purity culture, the thoughts and ideologies, the social grooming was obtuse. Perhaps you've started to deconstruct some of the beliefs that maybe were ingrained into you. And years later, maybe now, they're no longer making sense. And it's okay to start the deconstruction process. We'll talk more about that at another time. But you know what? We women had to be controlled earlier on, meaning our grandparents' generation. And women chose then to settle for it as a means to survival. We were not allowed to divorce our husbands. I'm sure you've read on the no-fault divorce and you've heard about it, right? Wisdom from my grandmother. Our grandmothers were stuck in marriages that they could not get out of. I remember my grandmother saying to me when I was young, have your own money. Don't rely on a man. I know there were other things that she wanted to tell me then, but she couldn't. Things I would not have understood. But Grammy, I get it now. But what is happening here? What is going on? Right? So over the past few years, it's like a wake up has occurred. The messages that we were taught and that were ingrained into us are no longer making sense. The light bulb went off, and that we are seeing the lies, the gaslighting, the mixed messages that were meant to control and downplay women's roles, to take advantage of us, to minimize our contribution to society, and to keep us in some form of check. And now we are saying F you to these messages. We have careers, we can do things that we were never able to do in society before. We can run businesses, and our freedom is driving some others mad, insane if you will, and they cannot handle that we have risen to the place that we are at currently. Many are mad, furious at our accomplishments, and want to bring us back down to be subservient. They say there are no more traditional women out there. What a mess are we in? Or is this the beginning of the Great Divorce? What is going to come from this? Now, I've always been fiercely independent. I chose not to have children. I've traveled to almost all 50 states, and now I travel internationally. I love the life that I have built, but there are some who are very angry with my ambition, my determination, and see it as a problem because I do not want this to be mimicked where other women do the same. Now, women, we are no longer held back. Sure, some of us don't. We do not get equal pay. Different topic. And I am just one woman. But women, we are stepping into who we are, and we are no longer being held back. For example, more women are enrolled in education now than men. Women are choosing to remain single now. especially if they were in an abusive marriage or a relationship prior. Women are choosing not to have children and be child-free by choice. And some men are livid about it. Why? Because they can't exploit us for their gain, and they are running out of options. And because we now see this, one man feared that men would become extinct. Now, I don't think we have to go that far, but it's interesting how far the mind of a man will go and how far he thinks ahead when they view things that they've been accustomed to for decades be possibly taken away. So is this great divorce coming? Well, I predict it is upon us. And so this is what I am predicting. That women will file and leave their husbands in the next few years in mass because these are the few things that we are sick of, that we've had it. Weaponized incompetence. That the relationship is not a true partnership where household responsibilities are evenly distributed. There is a lack of mutual respect in the partnership. Communication is not at the forefront of the partnership. Misogyny, lack of emotional intelligence in relationships with no desire to learn. The rise of relational narcissism. We see the patriarchy and how destructive it has been for women. Marriage is not a mutually beneficial arrangement. It benefits the men. The gaslighting. A host of other tactics meant to control and extract free labor from women. How women are treated by their husbands as second-class citizens, and women are saying, no thank you, check please. Women, we have united, and we are sharing our experiences, and we realize we were married to the same men. But this is a systemic issue. Right? Patriarchy has ruled the land, and we have all, including the men, have become victims to it. But we are now at a time that we have said enough is enough and things need to change. Women have already started making changes. In addition, we are not leaving the men out entirely. We are saying to the men, evolve with us. Deconstruct from the patriarchy. Use your independent thought to see things honestly and adequately from a woman's perspective. Are you able to see women as truly human and not as to be objectified? We know, the women know, that the men never really liked us. We know the men never were really there for us. What they wanted was free household labor, free emotional labor. They used us so they could get ahead in their careers. It was socially acceptable. We knew your heart was with your bros. We knew you didn't really like your wife as a friend, nor respected her as a true person. And because of all this, women are saying, check please. We have had enough. But we are fierce, we are strong, and we are independent. And we now know that we've also been lied to. We were told that we needed to have a relationship or be in one or to always be seeking one out. But we are fine. We are doing just fine. The men had their chance and they have failed us. And many of us have moved on. We are making different lives for ourselves. One thing I found was very interesting. I went down the path of leadership. How that men were always taught that they are the best leaders. So this has come into question as well. So women are just deconstructing things that have been taught to us for decades, and this topic of leadership has come up for us to dissect too. So I found an interesting article, and according to the American Psychological Association, female leaders demonstrate more transformational leadership styles, according to this study. I have a link in this and I'll drop it in the description. But what is fascinating about this article is that women are more likely to epitomize what's good in the organization and inspire people to go along with its mission compared to the men. Very, very interesting. So when you have some time, read that article. Very enlightening. So, but where are we headed as a society, right? These are serious topics that we're addressing on this podcast today. Where are we headed? Current trends in 2023 show that 69% of divorce is initiated by women. But my question is, how many of these marriages are choosing to stay together for various reasons, but the relationship has died and it's a matter of convenience? Women are going to be opting out of marriages because we have had it. We wanted it to work. We were told marriage is the way to go since we were little girls. But maybe that was another lie that was fed to us. I'd love to hear your thoughts. This is Lynn. This has been another episode of the Moving Forward with Hope podcast. Thank you for listening.